الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بل سئل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم متى الساعة فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وما أعددت لها قال حب الله ورسوله فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنت مع من أحببت. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is great mercy. Allah ta'ala has enabled us to sit here and listen to the talk of deen. And I'm no one new, so you guys know how my tarteeb is. Just chillax, relax, right? Take a deep breath, sit calmly and just listen, inshallah. And I think everyone's going to listen to today's program. It's very interesting, right? So last time we were given the program to do the minor signs and to speak about Imam Mahdi, who is considered the last of the minor signs, and according to some ulama, he is considered the first of the major signs. And this time we were actually given the choice to, or rather we were told to discuss the Dajjal and all the remaining signs as well. Now, I've been studying for a good maybe 10 to 12 hours preparing this bayan, and we condensed it from about a good 60 to 70 pages, and it's still condensed to about 15 pages. So I don't know how we're going to cover 15 pages in about 1 hour. So we will try our best, inshallah. We will try our best. First and foremost, we have to clear our intentions, right? Why are we here? Why are we here? Why are we going to discuss these signs, these stories? Why do we have to know about these things? First and foremost is preparation. If these signs occur within our time, within our life, we should be prepared. We should know what we need to do. That these are signs that Allah Ta'ala or Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had already prophesied. And not only that, if it doesn't come in our time, and then what we need to do is educate the future, educate our next generation, right? So if it doesn't happen in our time, we continue educating the next generation, and if it doesn't happen in their time, then the next generation. And that's what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned in numerous ahadith, that every single Nabi came to warn their nation of Dajjal and his trials. And I am also warning you about his trials. The only difference is, I am the last Nabi and you are the last nation. So he will definitely come within my ummah, within my generation or my nation. So it's more likely. And we've discussed the minor signs previously. Just about almost all of them are here, right? Just about almost all of them are here. I'm going to discuss a few more today, inshallah. I'm going to try to get it over very quickly because our objective is Dajjal and Imam Mahdi and Isa alayhi salam, Yajuj, Majuj. We're going to discuss all this today, inshallah, if time permits. But before that, I want to discuss a few more minor signs that I didn't get the time to discuss last time. Also, it's very important to highlight these signs because most of them, we are facing them right now. Our lives are full of these signs, and we have to try our best to remove these signs from our lifestyle, from our families. Some of these signs that we have that lead to Qiyamah. Many signs. We discussed all the minor signs last time. A few more signs Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions in numerous ahadith. One is that a person will regard as shameful to act upon a Quranic injunction. A person will regard shameful to act upon a Quranic injunction. Allah Ta'ala says, do this, but in school, it's a little difficult, it's a little hard. In front of friends, how are you going to pray, right? They're going to call you this and that, or you'll be different from the rest. But how can you keep a beard? No one's keeping a beard. That's medieval, man. It's not according to today's time, right? We can't do that. So, out of fear of another person's making fun of you, or your friends disassociating themselves from you, we tend to move away from the commandments of Allah Ta'ala. We feel shame. So this is one of the signs of Qiyamah. Immorality will be prevalent. I mean, look at any website you go to, you have something popping up, right? You can't even open your email. You have something popping up. The buses, they have posters. The taxi cabs that our parents are driving, they have the signs on top. The train stations. You go to school, you're not safe. There's posters everywhere. So immorality will be prevalent, will be very and widespread. There will be ulama su, evil ulama. It's something a lot of you have not heard of. So a time will come when the worst of people will be some of the scholars. Not all, some of the scholars. And why I pick this is because nowadays we have people who go and study deen in certain areas from certain people, and they come back wanting to debate everyone else, wanting to prove their point, disregarding everyone else, and disassociating themselves with the rest of the Muslims. And what you have, some of these, I call them YouTube scholars. I call them YouTube scholars, right? They go on YouTube and they try to now brainwash everyone to believe and think that what they've been doing now and teaching now and learning now, this is the truth, and what we've been following all this time, our forefathers and so on and so forth, up to the extent that even tabi'een and tabi'ut tabi'een, some sahaba also, that they were incorrect. Today we understood deen, mashallah. They think that today we understood deen. Right? Sahaba didn't understand, they understood, mashallah. So this is what, when we quote Sahaba, they say, Hum rijal wa nahnu rijal, they are men and we are men. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says a sign of Qiyamah is that knowledge will be uplifted by the upliftment of scholars, not the upliftment of books. Where do we get our books? Where do we get our knowledge from? YouTube, right? Yahoo, Google. Open the book of Bukhari, open the translation of the Quran. This is against the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The sunnah of ta'aleem and education was not through YouTube, was not through reading books and magazines and articles and newspapers. The sunnah of ta'aleem and the way of ta'aleem is that Allah Ta'ala taught Jibreel alayhi salam, Jibreel alayhi salam taught Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who taught the Sahaba, who taught the Tabi'een, who taught the Tabi'ut Tabi'een. Until today, this is why we have a link called the Sanad or Isnad, a chain of narration. When I would recite a hadith from Bukhari or Muslim, my teacher recited it to me, his teacher recited it to him, and it goes all the way to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is the sign of a true scholar. The sign or the way of learning deen is that you go to a scholar, a alim, you spend time with him and you learn deen. Imam Malik only gave fatwa. Imam Malik, he was the Imam of Medina. Everyone accepts him. He only gave fatwa after he got the certificate from 70 ulama. And these ulama were students of Sahaba. Then only he gave fatwa. And today, the guy goes to the university, studies there 1 year, comes back, he knows a little Arabic and starts giving fatwa. This guy's a kafir, and that guy's a kafir, and this guy's a bid'ati, and that guy's a mushrik. So this is what we call ulama su, evil ulama. They have some ilm, but they come with their ilm and try to destroy the world. They try to create frictions among us. Yes, if you have a difference of opinion, bismillah, we can come and sit and discuss, no problem. But now to label everyone else, and this is happening within not one group, but a lot of groups. Allah Ta'ala, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that when you gain knowledge, do not attain it for the sake of argumentation, for the sake of fame. Do not debate with fools or argue with the ulama, or gain knowledge to draw attention to yourselves. Such people will incur the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this goes for everyone. Students studying in some of our madaris, they study in the first year, second year, they start labeling other people. They started issuing fatwa. Even we felt like that when we were studying. But our ulama and our scholars warned us. We come to bring the ummah and unite the ummah, not to break the ummah. If you see a problem with the ummah, come and discuss it with the imam. The very same people will tell you that your salah is wrong. They're praying behind the very same imam who's praying the same way as you. So if you think your salah is wrong, come to the imam. He's here. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq, inshallah. This is a sign. This is a sign, one of the signs of the Day of Judgment. And why I say this is because, unfortunately, in this masjid we have a lot of these things occurring. Past 2-3 days I've seen a person, after salam, he will tell the guy in front, on his right and on his left, you know what, your salah, this was wrong. And your salah, this was wrong. And then he'll walk away. Subhanallah. Tell the imam is praying the same salah. Why are you praying behind that imam if the imam's salah is wrong? Subhanallah. So this is something for us to think about. And those who are listening to them, you must wonder, if my salah is wrong, why are you praying behind this imam who's performing the same salah? And if that salah is wrong, or my aqidah is wrong, then did my parents also die on the wrong aqidah? Did they also perform the wrong salah? Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand, inshallah. This is one of the signs of the Day of Judgment. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says that in the ending, in the last time, Dajjalun kadhabun, a lot of great liars will come and emerge. The last of them will be Al-A'war al-Kadhab, the blind, one-eyed liar. Who is that? The Dajjal. So many liars will come, but the last of them will be the Dajjal. Similarly, another minor sign is that people will wear clothing, but it's as if they're not wearing clothing. What does that mean? You're wearing such tight clothing, it reveals your body shape and form. So what kind of clothing are you wearing? It's as if you're not wearing anything. This is not just women, it's men too. You wear tight jeans, it's showing off your body shape. It's not permissible. Obviously, all women do it, just about 99%. Inshallah, Muslim women don't, but men are also starting to do it. Similarly, women will tie their hair like the humps of camels. And I'm sure you guys seen this. A lot of women, they tie their hair right here on top, and then they put their hijab on like that. So this is a sign of Qiyamah. We're not supposed to be doing that. I know this is, some of you are going to feel a little offended, but this is the reality. Our job as people who uphold this deen is to explain to the people what our problems are. If I have a problem, if you come to me as a patient, to the doctor is going to tell you what your problem is and give you medicine. He can't give you shabashi all the time. If you're sick, he's going to tell you, stop eating this, stop eating rice, right? Stop eating this, stop eating oil, pepper. Like, but what is there left to eat? But listen, you want to get better, you need to, take this bitter pill and fix yourself. So this is not just, I'm not saying because I see mistakes in others, this is my own also. We have faults within us, within our families, within our lives. So this is something, if we discuss it inshallah, and create an awareness, and we can correct ourselves. Another sign is that, and this was prophesied by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, homosexuality and lesbianism will be very will be very widespread. And you guys know this is America, you know what's happening. Every state's legalizing it, right? There's another sign. Singing and dancing, liquor, these things are already, they've been general. Music in every home. Music will be in every home. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this is words. Music will be in every home. SubhanAllah, we've even brought it in the house of Allah. We've even brought it in the house of Allah. When our phone rings and you have the Hindi music on, or you have some rap song on, what's happened? So we're doing that today. And when illiterate people, ignorant people, negligent people will lead others. So these are some of the minor signs. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, one hadith, he listed quite a few of them. Constructing high buildings. People will be competing with each other in constructing high buildings. Just yesterday I was reading in the news, there's a building in Dubai. I think it's Burj something, Khalij. It's above the clouds. It's so high it goes above the clouds. And yesterday I read, that I knew before. Yesterday I read Saudi in Makkah is going to build the highest one, higher than that. Subhanallah. All that money that belongs to the Ummah, you should spend it on the Ummah who's dying in Africa, in Bangladesh, in India, in these places, in Malawi. Poor areas that are dying because they don't have food. And you're spending billions of dollars building, breaking buildings every year. Allah will ask them on the Day of Judgment why they used the money of the Ummah and wasted it. Allah Ta'ala protect us, inshallah. So first and foremost, another thing, this is a discovery I found just yesterday night. Subhanallah. I didn't know this. Maybe Imam Sahib knew this. We studied this, but we studied hundreds of thousands of hadith in the final year. So you can't exactly scale everything together. It's a lot of hadith. In Muslim Sharif, this is mentioned in Muslim Sharif, كنا عند جابر بن عبد الله فقال يوشك أهل العراق أن لا يجبى إليهم قفيز ولا درهم قلنا من أين ذاك قال من قبل العجم يمنعون ذاك. Subhanallah, Jabir ibn Abdullah, Sahabi, he's prophesying. Obviously, if he's prophesying, he's not going to say his own words. He's narrating what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught him. So he's saying that a time will come when Iraq will be prevented from receiving any help or any food. Subhanallah. What does that remind you of? Right? A time will come, and so they asked, where's that going to come from? How is that going to happen? How are they going to be prevented? He said, the non-Arabs will do this. And in today's time, we know the sanctions that's been on Iraq for the past 20 years. The sanctions, this is exactly what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam predicted. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Everyone say Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Allah's Nabi had predicted this to happen. Subhanallah. Achha. So the intentions. First intention, we need to prepare ourselves, prepare our future generations for what's to come. Second intention, we need, again, just like I mentioned, these prophecies, they are happening. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned these prophecies then. So to create the conviction of Iman within our hearts, that Alhamdulillah, whatever my Nabi said was true. It didn't all occur then, slowly it's occurring. So whatever signs are remaining, we're going to hear the story of Dajjal and Yajuj, Majuj, they're going to be very strange stories. But just like he prophesied the other signs and they are occurring, similarly, these signs that he also prophesied, inshallah, they will occur. So to strengthen the belief of the prophecies of Rasulullah, or our Iman, to strengthen our Iman, faith and conviction in Allah's Kalam and Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's message. This is the second intention we should have. First one, again, to train ourselves, to teach ourselves and our future generations. Second one, to bring the conviction, strengthen the conviction within our hearts. Third is to learn the actual stories from authentic narrations. We hear a lot of bogus stories from our parents sometimes, from our aunties and uncles, and when we sit together and talk about all these funny things. This, inshallah, this entire lecture will be based on ahadith, Quranic ayat and ahadith in the major scholarly books, mainly Bukhari, Muslim. You'll get a few other books that I'll mention as well, Abu Dawud, Ahmad, Majmu' al-Zawaid, so on and so forth. And we need to continue educating ourselves. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said in a hadith, لا يخرج الدجال حتى يذهل الناس عن ذكره وحتى تترك الأئمة ذكره على المنابر. Subhanallah, the hadith of Majmu' al-Zawaid. He says that Dajjal, the time of Dajjal will not come until people completely forget about Dajjal. People will forget his mention. And the ulama, the imams and the masajid won't even mention him on the minbar. Meaning he'll be a forgotten thing. And if you think about it today, if you go around asking people about Dajjal, the most they know is he's someone that's going to come. A lot of people. Now, alhamdulillah, you're here. This is like maybe 0.001% of the ummah who's come to learn about him. But 99.9% of the Muslims outside, they don't even know him. They just know there's someone called Dajjal coming. So this is the time where we are unaware. And alhamdulillah, you've come to learn, and hopefully you'll take this message and spread it as well. There are many other minor signs I wanted to go over, but it's going to take a lot of time. Masjid is going to be a place, a meeting place where you argue over worldly matters. So this is another sign. So we shouldn't, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam telling us, don't participate in such gatherings, because Allah Ta'ala doesn't need such people. When you see, alhamdulillah, gatherings of dini gatherings, then you should participate. Besides that, you shouldn't. So we were discussing Imam Mahdi. We discussed all the minor signs, and then we went to Imam Mahdi. Imam Mahdi, he will be from Medina and flee and go to Makkah. The people, a quick summary, the people will notice him, the ulama, they'll find him between Hajar al-Aswad and Maqam Ibrahim. They'll all pledge allegiance to him, and he will become the leader of the Muslims. Thereafter, many armies will come to fight against him. Many armies will come to fight against him, to try to kill him. And some armies, Allah Ta'ala will sink into the ground. One army specifically Allah Ta'ala mentions, they will leave Syria to attack him in Medina, in Makkah. And in a place called Bayda, it comes in a hadith of Muslim, between Makkah and Medina, Allah Ta'ala will, the earth will swallow them whole. And then after that, all the pious ulama, they'll see that this is definitely Imam Mahdi. Pious ulama from all over the world, from Iraq, Sham, and all these places, they will go and pledge allegiance, take bay'at to him. Then a person from Quraysh also, who's from the family of Banu Kal, he'll also send an army to attack him. But then the Imam Mahdi and his army will fight that army and they'll win the battle. Imam Mahdi will rule for 7 years and there will be many other wars as well. There will be one major war. There will be one major war between the Muslims and the Christians. The Muslims and Christians will have the largest forces. And in that war, now, when we discuss these stories, these are future events that will occur. It doesn't mean that we take the Christians as our enemies today. It doesn't mean we take the general public as our enemies today. Right? We differ in belief, we differ in our creed, our code of law, but doesn't mean you make them your enemies. As long as you are not prevented from following your deen. You might say in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la tattakhidul yahuda wal nasara awliya. Allah Ta'ala says, don't take the Christians and Jews as your friends. But there is a grave misconception here. Here friendship means wali. Awliya is jama' of wali, is the plural of wali. And wali here means a very close friend. A very close friend, such a friend that you rely on him for everything. That type of friendship you should not make with the non-Muslims. Why? SubhanAllah, one alim gave a very beautiful reason. He says, a Muslim abides by the rules of Allah and His Rasul, which is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah. So when he seeks guidance, assistance, he will seek in accordance to the guidance Allah has laid down, right, in the Quran, the principles of the Quran and the Sunnah. That is his law. Now when he has a best friend, this is his closest friend, this is the word wali, very close, bosom friend. They're tight, we call it tight, right? Really tight, really good friends. So everything he consults him. Now if he's a non-Muslim, and you're consulting him in your personal matters, what type of guidance is he going to give you? Guidance based on his understanding of life, guidance based on his understanding of his experiences, or even the Bible because he's Christian, the Torah because he's Jew. So what are you doing to yourself? You're destroying your deen. So this is what Allah Ta'ala means to say, do not make them your bosom friends, your close immediate friends, where you would take them as mushawir. Everything you would make mashwara with them. But besides that, good conduct with everyone is necessary. Unless you are fighting in a battlefield, even then there are rules and regulations. Besides that, good conduct with everyone is necessary. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that Jibreel alayhi salam came to me and he stressed the rights of the neighbors to such an extent I thought they would inherit from me. To such an extent, I thought they would inherit from me. He didn't say Muslim neighbors. One of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's neighbors was Jewish. And we know the famous story, he used to throw garbage on the road all the time. One time he didn't throw, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, you know what happened? People said, Alhamdulillah, right? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, what happened? He went to visit him, subhanallah. He said, today he didn't throw anything, something was wrong. And he found out the person was sick. And the person also got awestruck that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came to see me. I try to hurt him every day, and he comes to see me. Because of the akhlaq, these people become Muslims, subhanallah. So, think about it. I want all of us here sitting here, think about it. Ramadan time, when we do iftari, what do? We go to the 2-3 Bengali homes around our area, right? But the non-Muslims, they know, they see. My front next door neighbor called me, there's a lady, elderly lady. She said, I know every Ramadan you do this, you do this, you do this. You know, if you need anything, let me know. Subhanallah. They have the qualities and character of Muslims, and we've lost it. So Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq to adopt these qualities, bring these qualities back into our life, inshallah. Say Ameen. So thereafter, Muslims will have a huge, it's going to be one of the largest battles that ever takes place. The Muslims and the Christians will fight. And Imam Mahdi's army will be divided into 3 groups. And this comes in the hadith. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, I'm going to narrate part of the hadith inshallah. He says, the last hour would not come until the Romans would land in A'maq or in Dabil. An army consisting of the best soldiers of the people of earth at that time will come from Medina to counteract them, meaning the Muslims. When they arranged themselves in ranks, the Romans would say, do not stand between us and those Muslims who took prisoners from among us. Basically, you took our prisoners, give them back. Let us fight with them, the Muslims that took us. And the Muslims would say, no, by Allah, we will never get aside from you and our brethren that you may fight them. Meaning, we're not going to let you fight our brothers and just stand there and watch you. Then they will fight. 1/3 of the army, Muslim army, will run away. And this sin Allah will never forgive. 1/3 of the Muslim army will become shaheed in the path of Allah. They will become martyrs in the path of Allah, in the cause of Allah, and be granted Jannah. And the other 1/3 will be victorious. This will occur. These are events that will occur. After that, Imam Mahdi would conquer Constantinople. Constantinople, it would take place around that area. Constantinople, in today's time in Istanbul, Turkey. Istanbul, Turkey. And then what's going to happen, they're going to be distributing spoils of war when shaitan, obviously shaitan can come in the form of man. So people will spread this rumor, the Dajjal is here. The Dajjal is here. Now we get to our main topic, right, the Dajjal. Because we have to go through the series, through a sequence. The Dajjal is taking his place among your family, meaning he's among you right now. Then the Muslim army will come back out again to fight. They just finished fighting. They're tired. But they're going to come back out to fight again. But they'll see this was just a rumor. They'll go out, they'll prepare everything. Then they'll see this was just a rumor. And when they come back to Syria, then he would come out. Then he would actually come out. Then the Dajjal would actually come out. And the hadith goes on, we know the story, I'm going to just summarize in what mentioned in the hadith. Certainly the time of prayer shall come, a time of salah will come, Isa a.s. will come down. Isa a.s. will come down on one of the minarets, the southern minaret of the Dimashq Masjid. And Imam Mahdi would lead the prayer, and they would go out and face Dajjal and his army, and Isa a.s. will be the one to kill Dajjal. That's just a very short form of the entire story. One important note is that Isa a.s. and Imam Mahdi are two different people. They are not the same. This is our aqidah, this is our faith, the faith of all the Muslims. You have a new sect called the Qadiani or the Ahmadiyya. They are not Muslim by consensus of all the Muslims. All the ulama of all the countries got together and together passed this fatwa that this group called the Qadiani or the Ahmadi, they are not Muslim. They have masjids in New York. They believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah also. The difference? They don't believe Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the last Nabi. They don't believe Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the last Nabi. They believe in a person called Ghulam Ahmad Parvez in India. They say he was a Nabi and there are more to come. So they have this belief. They have this belief that Isa alayhi salam and Imam Mahdi are one and the same. And they go out of their way to try to prove it. Just know this much. You don't have to go and start debating with them. Right? They are not Muslim, period. This is the consensus of all the Muslims. So if you go to Indonesia, you go to China, you go to Saudi, you go to Africa, all the Muslims who are there, the general Muslims, 99% of them will tell you these people are not Muslims. So you don't have to worry about it, but it's still something that we need to know in case you are approached by one of these people. They call themselves the Ahmadiyya, Qadiani. They have their masjids in New York also. And they do their dawah work and they invite other people as well. One time I was in Bangladesh Muslim Center. And I was coming in and the guy said, Assalamu alaikum, bhai, kaman hain? I said, MashaAllah, wa alaikum salam. And he handed me a paper. And I know, because we study these things. I said, subhanAllah, look at this. This guy's not Muslim. Bangladesh, you get from Dhaka, from Sylhet, from Chittagong, they have these people. Just like if you go to Bangladesh now, and we're going to talk about this in another program, there's a lot of our own people, neighbors that are Christians. Right? This is another topic that we need to talk about, inshallah, at another time. So now about Dajjal. Since we discussed, we came down, the story now narrowed down to Dajjal. Who is Dajjal? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, مَا بَيْنَ خَلْقِ آدَمَ إِلَىٰ قِيَامِ سَاعَةٍ أَمْرٌ أَكْبَرُ مِنَ الدَّجَّالِ. There is nothing that worries me more from the beginning of time till the end of time than the fitna and the trials of Dajjal. Those trials will be the most severe. Those trials will be the most severe. It will be extremely difficult. Another hadith he says, Wallahi, لا تقوم الساعة حتى يخرج 30 كذابا آخرهم الأعور الكذاب. As I mentioned already, that 30 Dajjals, meaning 30 different liars will appear and he will be the last of them. Who are the 30 liars? I mean, different historians will say different people. But definitely this Ghulam Ahmad Parvez from Qadian, from India, he's one of them. Elijah Muhammad is another one. Meaning people who would claim prophethood. People who would claim prophethood. So I think a lot of us know Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam that Malcolm X was part of. And when he realized the real Islam, then he left the Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam still exists. They're very strong in England, and you see some of the brothers giving out newspapers in the train station. So they're also not Muslim. Same reason. They believe that Elijah Muhammad was a prophet, and some have elevated him to be the status of God as well. Just like Christians. In the beginning, Isa a.s. was a Nabi. Then they elevated him to the status of Son of God. Then they elevated him to the status of God Himself. So our God is not a weak God. Our God is a very strong God. He doesn't die for 3 days and the world is running. He doesn't get crucified. And there's no need for Him to also. Alhamdulillah. Now you might say, why is Allah Ta'ala going to send such a heavy trial on the Muslims? So this is a test, and Allah will test everyone. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, حَسِبْتُمْ أَنْ تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ مَتَى نَصْرُ اللَّهِ أَلَا إِنَّ نَصْرَ اللَّهِ قَرِيبٌ. He says, do you think you'll enter Jannah so easily? Whereas the people of the past, they persevered against such trials and tribulations that they used to be cut in half, some of them. And they were shooken, their iman was shaken to such an extent, even the Nabi said, Ya Allah, where is your help? When is it going to come? Not out of despondency, he didn't become despondent, but he thought, Ya Allah, when is your help going to come? It's we're all dying. And then Allah Ta'ala, Ala inna nasrallahi qareeb, then Allah Ta'ala's help comes. So similarly, we as Muslims, we will be tested. We as Muslims, we will be tested of our faith. So this is one of the greatest, this is actually the greatest tests. Dajjal will have many. The Christians also believe in Dajjal. Remember I mentioned earlier that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said every Nabi has warned his nation of Dajjal. So the Christians also believe in Dajjal. They call him the Antichrist. Some of you might have heard the word Antichrist. They call him the Antichrist. And the word Dajjal itself is a hyperbolic noun, sifat al-mubalagha. Comes from Dajjala, the word itself means to conceal, to hide. In other words, to hide the truth. To conceal the truth. And when you conceal the truth, what are you doing? You're lying. So that's why they're called liars. Or he has many many attributes. He will be, before we go into attribute, our belief, I told you earlier that we believe in the reality of Dajjal. What does that mean? Some people, when they hear all these signs, and you can hear all the signs and stories and everything, you're going to think that, some people are interpreted Dajjal. They say he's not really a human being. He's actually, you can say, like the imperial powers of today. They're going to spread their power, their rule, and they're going to influence everyone. And some ulama said TV is like a small Dajjal too. Right? Influences everyone, teaches everyone all the wrong things. But anyway, our belief and the belief of the majority of the Muslims that are on truth is that Dajjal is a living being. He's not going to be some interpreted, ism, right? Allah, He is a living being. He exists. He is a human being, but He's a different type of human being with with attributes that are restricted to Himself only. And there will be some people who will try to deny His existence. They say He doesn't exist. But our belief and the belief of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah is that He does exist. Some of His attributes, how He looks like. And there's someone very similar that a lot of you have heard of. I'm going to ask you guys, inshallah, after you hear his attributes. He will be short, qasir. He'll be jasim, a huge body. Afhaj, bow-legged. Do you guys know what bow-legged means? Legs are kind of like this. You know when a baby walks, when he starts walking, it's a little crooked sometimes. So he'll be a little bow-legged. His hair will be ja'adun, qattun, curly. Jufalu sha'b. He'll have thick and coarse hair, very thick curly hair. He'll have a swollen right eye, كالعنبة الطافية, swollen right eye. It'll be swollen like a protruding grape, right? You guys heard of this before. Now I want you to think of this, right? Protruding, and his eyes will be like swollen grape. The left eye will be blind, أعور عين اليمنى. He'll be fair in complexion. Some say he'll be weedish, hijan. أجل الجبهة, a wide forehead. Now wide forehead, grape eye, one eye is blind, hunchbacked, dafa, hunched back. مكتوب بين عينيه كافا, between his two eyes will be the letters kaf, fa, ra. It can be separate letters, it may be joined together to form the words kufr, which means disbelief. Every Muslim will be able to see it. Rather, every person, not Muslim, comes in hadith, everyone will be able to see these letters. Now, my question to you. Does his appearance ring a bell? Anyone? Does he look like anyone that you've seen before, heard of before? Only one hand? Yes.
Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yes. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Some of you have heard of it. He's hunchback. His eyes are a little, the right side is like a grape and the left side is blind. He has a huge forehead and his legs are crooked. So I'm not saying that's who he is. I'm saying it's very similar. So some ulama, they say it's conspiracy theory. If you want to believe it, it's up to you. If you don't want to believe it, it's fine also. Some ulama say they've already portrayed what Dajjal would look like to the masses and made him look like a good guy, because in the story the character is a good guy, right? So when the actual Dajjal comes, the Muslim will say, oh, he must be that one there, the one we saw before, and they'll take him as a good guy. And that's what will happen. When he will appear, he'll appear as a good person. He'll appear to be a good Muslim, and people will be deceived. Anyway, he will appear, before he appears, there will be 3 years of extreme famine, and people will be inflicted with hunger. Again, like I said, this will be the worst trial for the Muslims. And he will emerge from a land in the east called the Khurasan. Khurasan consists of those Muslim countries around Russia. Beneath, in the south, you have the Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, all those stands that you have, Afghanistan. All those places together in those times were called Khurasan. So he'll emerge from a land from that area in the east, and he will appear where? Between Sham and Iraq. Where Sham in those times, Sham is translated as Syria. Sham is translated as Syria, but it's not the present day Syria that you have today. Sham in those times referred to an entire larger area. It's called Greater Sham, or Greater Syria, which included Palestine. There was no Israel, and there will be no Israel, inshallah. There won't be. One of the signs is there will be no Israel. One of the signs is Baytul Maqdis will be, comes in the Quran, this is not hadith, straight in the Quran. Baytul Maqdis will be conquered by the Muslims 2 more times. Imam Sahib is correct? 2 more times Baytul Maqdis. Surah Isra, first page. Surah Bani Israel is another name for that surah. 15th juz, first surah, first page. Baytul Maqdis will be conquered 2 more times. Once it was conquered by who? By who? See, we as Muslims, we don't know our history. So we don't even know who we are sometimes. That's why we don't appreciate what our ancestors did. It was conquered, everyone knows.
Night temple, night.
No. Yes. First time, good. First time was Umar radiallahu anhu. Second time was Salahuddin Ayyubi, rahimahullah. And a third time, meaning 2 more times. The Quran says 2 more times. So a third time will be, again when it comes back to the Muslims. So at that time when it will belong to the Muslims. So it consisted of Syria, Palestine, you have the present day Israel, you have some of Iraq. So all these places together consisted of Greater Syria, the Greater Syria. So between Syria and Iraq, he will appear. He will be from Khurasan, but he will appear in between these 2 places. Some say that, some hadith mention his emergence will be in a place known as Isfahan. We all know Isfahan, the capital of? Come on, geography, come on you guys. Isfahan is where? Capital of Iran. Capital of Iran is Isfahan. So he will appear there. And he will be of Jewish origin. His origin, he will be of Jewish origin, and not only that, majority of his followers will be Jewish. Dajjal will then, he will form his army, he will go around the world creating havoc and mischief, and he will take his army from Yemen going up towards Makkah and Medina. He will try to enter Makkah and Medina, but Allah Ta'ala will not permit him to enter 4 masjids. 4 masjids he will not permit him to enter. One is Makkah, Medina, Jerusalem, Masjid Al-Aqsa, and another masjid called Masjid Tur. Inshallah, if we have time, we'll discuss that. Allah Ta'ala will set 2 angels on the doors or entrances of all these masajid, and they will block his path. He will not be able to enter. At that time, the Medina, he'll be in front of Medina, in the outskirts of Medina, and that's when there will be tremors. Medina will shake, and all those who will fear. Who's going to fear on that day? Who is going to fear on that day? The munafiqs, good. Those who are hypocrites. Outside they show that they have iman, but inside they don't really have iman. Allah Ta'ala protect us. Say Ameen. Ameen. Very important. Because when we have an option to choose between good and bad, and we choose the bad, this increases nifaq in us, increases hypocrisy in us. Then we become like a munafiq. When we have the choice between right and wrong, and we choose the wrong, it increases, and our iman decreases. This is very dangerous. A lot of times when should I pray salah or should I go here? Should I pray salah now, on time, or I can get some rest and pray salah later? That increases that nifaq. So the munafiqeen will come out, and they will now run towards Dajjal. They will become part of his army. And Dajjal will have powers. He will be granted powers. He will be able to, we're going to get to that inshallah. Before we get to that, Dajjal will come, and he will be prohibited to enter Medina. He will set up a camp outside of Medina, and he will meet a person there. He will have the power to give life and grant death as well. But Abu Musa Ash'ari radiallahu anhu mentions that I was the most to ask Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about Dajjal. So I was really worried. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, what are you worried about? What are you worried about? So he said, I heard that he's going to be able to control rain and give life and control crops and food and so on. But you taught us these things and we're scared now. Subhanallah, this is a message, and this is a message for all of us. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam speaking to us. He says, what are you scared about? Allah Ta'ala is not going to leave you like that. Subhanallah. What are you scared about? Allah will not leave you empty. This is nothing. For Allah is nothing. What He will show you are illusions. They are not reality. He'll show you Jannat, in actual reality it will be Jahannam. And He'll show you Jahannam, in actual reality it will be Jannat. In other words, if He kills you, you're going to Jannah. And if you join Him, you're going to Jahannam. He will appear like this person. This is a famous incident. You will find this person will be a strong mu'min, one of the greatest mu'min of that time. You will meet this person outside of Medina. And the person will say, I bear witness that you are Dajjal. You are the very Dajjal that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has warned us about. It might be one of you. Say, you know what? We were there in a bayan on the Sunday night, and the Imam told us, or the Sheikh told us about you. So we know about you. That's how it's going to happen. We train you, you train your children, they train their children. It may be from one of your progeny that is the very person that meets Dajjal. And he's going to say, my father taught me. But if we don't teach our generation, they will forget. And they may be part of those people who will meet him, not know, and join him. So he will say, I swear that you are the Dajjal. Then Dajjal will tell his followers that if I kill this person and revive him, will you people, my followers, he's talking about, will you people still doubt that? Because first Dajjal is going to claim Nubuwwah. He's going to say, I'm a Nabi. Then he is going to claim God. He's going to say, I'm God. Huh? So he'll ask them, would you still doubt me if I killed him and then gave him life again? They said, no, we wouldn't doubt you. So he would kill the person and he would give him life again. And the people, he told the people, see? And the person will say, Wallahi, I am even more convinced that you are the very Dajjal my Nabi warned me about. Subhanallah. So that will weaken Dajjal because he'll know the secrets of Dajjal. And Dajjal will try to kill him again, but will not be able to. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions, he will be one of the strongest Muslims of that time, that person. Even in other incidents, he will kill a person, or rather he'll tell a person that if I bring your parents alive from the dead, your parents are dead, your parents are dead, if I bring them alive, would you believe me as God? The person said, of course, and he would bring them alive. But Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions, in reality, those are not his parents. They are jinnat, they are working for him, that will come in the form of his parents. This is what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. Whatever he has is fake, it's not real, so you don't have anything to worry about. Allah will not leave you alone. I mentioned to you that before Dajjal comes, there will be 3 years of drought. In the first year, the skies will withhold. Allah Ta'ala will test the Muslims. In the first year, the skies will withhold 1/3 of its sustenance. The second year, 2/3. The third year of this drought, the skies will give no rain at all. Hence, it will result in no crops. Animals will die. There will be nothing left. That's when Allah will give the Dajjal that power. He will have food, he will have water, he will grant it to his followers. And that's when the Muslim will be ultimately tested. In Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's exact words, he said, how will Dajjal harm you? And so he answered that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, in the sight of Allah, he is much more disgraced than that. Meaning Allah knows full well that Dajjal has no reality with him. Whatever he has is deception, it's not real. As mentioned to you, the Jews will have he will have mainly Jewish followers, and a great number of women will also be his followers. Right? A lot of women will also be his followers. Now, obviously, the women folk downstairs probably cursing me out now, right? Like, how come we're always in trouble? So I want to point to something very quickly. It's very important. Another hadith says that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he saw Jannat and Jahannam, and majority of the inhabitants of Jahannam were women. So right here you got an objection. Like, hold on, that's a little messed up. That's a little mad behind me, right? Like, how can you say that, right? Look at the reality. The reality is what? There are always more women than men. True or not? So if you put the actual ratio, there's definitely going to be more women than men. That's one way of looking at it. And it's a reality. It's not something that, making an interpretation or something. It's the reality. When I was studying, I had students from Thailand. And they said in southern Thailand, for every 1 man, there's 7 women. Ratio, 7 to 1. For every 1 man, there's 7 women. So what happens? Men get married 3-4 times over there. I know everyone's thinking now, right? So, for every 1 man, there's 7 women. Now, obviously, when you're going to have more of a ratio of women, then in Jahannam will be the same thing, and here will be the same as well. Second reason behind these kind of ahadith, look at what's happening today. What is the biggest weak point of a man? And everyone here will agree, those who are married and not married. What is the biggest weak point for a man? A woman. He can give up smoking, he can give up drugs, he can give up movies, he can give up music, but to give up women, it's very difficult. Very difficult, right? And Allah Ta'ala says also that the plots and plans of shaitan is very weak, but the plot and plans of women is very strong. And this is a reality. You cannot outsmart them. Most of the time, whenever you get into argument with them, you never win. They'll give you a whole history. From the day you were born, from the day before you were born, all the faults you had. But anyway, it is through our women and our children that our future generation will grow. If our women and children remain correct, that is our future. Think about it. Most of us are affected by who? Our mother or father? Mother. Right? We live with our mother our whole lives. If we're going to listen to anyone first, it's who? The mother. So the mother is the first madrasa, she's the first school. She is the generation. She is the future. So that's, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said what? Give your mother preference 3 times over your father. It doesn't mean don't give your father preference, right? But give your mother preference more. Which shows the status Allah Ta'ala has given women. A much higher status. So obviously, the greater power you have, the greater, I didn't get this from a movie, okay? The greater power you have, the greater responsibility you have, right? the greater power you have. So a mother has all that power. She controls the house. This is a reality, right? She controls the house. The husband acts like he controls, but he doesn't. So when the woman controls the house, she will be the future for the children. She will teach the future of the children. So when that same woman goes off track, then the whole future generation has gone down the drain. And this is the reality. All of us who study, who are professionals, we know this is what's happening. Anyway, so a lot of his followers will be, majority of his followers will be Jews and will be women as well. He'll travel the world at extreme speeds. He'll be able to go many places and very fast, very quickly also. He'll be able to command the earth to hold back its food and the clouds to hold back its rain. And when he will come, he will stay on this earth. He will stay on this earth for 40 days. But the length of these 40 days are not our normal lengths of 40 days. First day will be equal to 1 year. Second day will be equal to 1 month. Third day will be equal to 1 week. And the remaining days will be normal. So how many days do you have? A year, a month, another week, and 37 more days, right? 37? So that's how long it will be. But within that time, he'll go and cause havoc all over the world. Finally, Isa alayhi salam will come down on the Jami' Masjid of Damascus, we call it Damascus in English, and he will fight the Dajjal, and he will kill him in a place called Babul Lud, and some ulama say it's present day Lida. Lida, if you check it up on Google Maps, you'll find it's in Israel. Or I think it's around that area, Israel and Iran and Iraq, it's around that area. Just one second. Now the question comes, how do we protect ourselves from the fitna and the trials of Dajjal? How do we protect ourselves, our families? There are several ways. The first is, if he does occur in our time, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to stay away. Don't go, you know what, this is a moment of my, I might be that guy that, stands up and I want to show him, Don't do that. Because in face of trials, it becomes very difficult. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself said, stay away. If he occurs in your time, get out of there, stay away from there. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself said, stay away. A person will approach him thinking him to be a believer, but seeing his amazing feats, he will become his follower. So be very careful. Similarly, constantly seeking help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and memorizing the sifat of Allah ta'ala, or the names of Allah ta'ala. Allah ta'ala's 99 names, these come they come handy, they come in help in times of trials and tribulations. You recite the names. We should all, as Muslims, know Allah ta'ala's names. Only 99 to memorize. Each day, memorize 1, 2. Each day, memorize 1, 2. Whether 1, 2 once, you'll be done. Memorize the first and last 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf. The first and last 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf, they will protect you on that day. It comes in ahadith, it comes in numerous ahadith. Similarly, every Jumu'ah you recite Surah Al-Kahf. Surah Al-Kahf starts towards the third quarter of the 15th juz, right? Or 15th juz, and ends in the first quarter of the 16th juz. So we should recite Surah Kahf every Friday. It's a long surah, it's long. But you start now, eventually inshallah you'll learn it. Another easy way to get out of it is live in the haram, right? Live in Makkah, Medina. But that's not so easily possible. And if we don't have iman, this is why the effort of iman is extremely important. Allah Ta'ala accept and Allah Ta'ala make us part of this effort of da'wah that our brothers are doing, mashallah. They go out and speak of Allah and create the awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the sunnah in our lives. So we should join that effort, if not physically, at least verbally support it. This is the type of effort of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. By continuously talking of iman and giving da'wah of faith, this iman builds within our hearts. So living in the haram won't help you. You go to the haram, there are people that live in the haram but they don't pray salah. So living in the, what I say, there will be 3 tremors and the munafiqeen will come out of Makkah and Medina. Or Medina, they'll come out of Medina. and they'll become followers of Dajjal. So living in Medina does not suffice, but increasing your iman and working on your iman, if we do this, then inshallah, even if we face him in New York City, we'll still be able to counter, inshallah. Also, a dua that I want all of you to memorize. If you want, you can look it up, inshallah, you'll find it, or you can come to me. Give your email, inshallah, give your email to the youth group, and we will email a summary of today's program, as well as this dua that all of you should learn. I want all of you to recite it at least once with me. Everyone together. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhab al-qabri wa min adhab al-nari wa min fitnat al-mahya wal-mamat wa min fitnat al-masih al-dajjal. It means, oh Allah, I seek refuge from you. I seek refuge in you from the torment of the grave, the torment of the fire of Jahannam, the torment of life and death, the difficulty of life and death, and from the fitna and trials of Dajjal. Now, in this dua, there's a word, al-Masih. This is something we need to clarify quickly. Masih. What does Masih mean? Because if we look in the Quran, we come to find the word with Isa alayhi salam.
Messiah.
Masih, Isa ibn Maryam. Good, mashallah. Someone with English translation, Messiah. So this is how they translated Messiah in English. What this means in the Arabic dictionaries, the anointed one. What does that mean? A person who he rubs off his effects on another person. So Isa alayhi salam was called Al-Masih, and Dajjal was called Al-Masih. How come? Isa alayhi salam, his good effect rubbed off on the Ummah. And Dajjal, his bad effects, his evil effects will rub off on the Ummah. So the same word, but different connotation, different direction. You understand? Also, what else we need to do to protect ourselves, our families, our progenies, is just as we learned about Dajjal today, we need to inform and teach our friends, our families, and the future generations as well. And this is the sacred knowledge that today you got received, all from Quran and Hadith. This is knowledge. So we obtain this knowledge, we learn this knowledge. And last but not least, I won't rule this out, prepare physically. وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. Prepare physically. Physically you should be fit. The way we eat nowadays, I'm not even talking, I'm talking about myself first, right? We can't even move. By age 30 and 40, you can barely walk properly. So we really need to get in shape. This is a sunnah also. Prepare yourself to be in shape. Anything can happen any moment. We're scared of using the word jihad, but jihad is actually striving to protect yourself also. So if your family is getting attacked, you need to protect yourself. This is a jihad also. This is a jihad also. If you're mashallah, 360 pounds, I don't think you'll be able to do that. And it's happened before in our neighborhood. My brother and uncle, they went to the park here, and they got jumped by a whole gang. They got jumped by a whole gang here. And they got beat down, and alhamdulillah, they're fit. But how are you going to take 2 guys going to take out 10 guys? But in the end, because they were fit, they could do something. At least they could run away. They had children with them, women with them too. So in that sense, you are doing jihad. This is important jihad also. About Isa alayhi salam, and we're going to try to finish it off quickly. So you know about Dajjal now. About Isa alayhi salam, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, I have seen Isa, Musa, and Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Isa, he was ahmar. He was reddish in complexion. You know you have rednecks? Something close to that. I'm not going to say rednecks, astaghfirullah, but a little reddish in complexion. Ja'dun, he had curly hair. Areedu sadr, and he had a broad chest. So this was how Isa alayhi salam looked. And he'll descend on the white eastern minaret of the Dimashq Masjid. He has average height, neither tall nor short. And when he comes down, he'll come down on the shoulder of 2 angels. They'll be carrying him, and his hair will be dripping wet, as if he had just taken a shower. His hair will be dripping wet, and when he comes onto the roof or on the minaret, he'll come down to the ground using stairs. And he resembled the Sahabi Urwa ibn Mas'ud al-Thaqafi. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, when he does come, he will do a few things. Number 1, he will be a just judge. He will become a hakim, a judge, meaning a person who will now decide between matters. He will break the crosses, because people they believe in the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And he will come to erase and eradicate that notion, that belief that he did not die on the cross. He will break the crosses. The hadith mentions he will kill pigs, swine. Why? Because many reasons why we don't eat swine. In reality, even Christians are not supposed to eat swine as well. It comes in their Bible as well. But how many actually follow? So it's not an Islamic thing only, it's a Christian thing as well. And we don't need to go into the details, the dietary details of the pig and swine. He will abolish tax. It's mentioned in a hadith that he will abolish tax. And where after the killing of Dajjal and the Ya'juj Ma'juj, he will live for 40 years and there will be a period of prosperity. Everything, there will be barakah and blessings in everything. Everything will be peaceful, there will be harmony, and everyone will live in peace. And we're going to go to the point where the Ya'juj Ma'juj and all these things. And again, there will be a lot of barakah. And the people of the book, the Christians and the Jews who are remaining after all these wars and battles, and they will see Isa alayhi salam, they will believe, they will accept. And the hadith mentions he will live for 40 years. Now we come to Ya'juj Ma'juj. And there's only 2 minutes left, right? I'm going to try to be as quick as I can. Ya'juj Ma'juj, Dhul Qarnayn was a ruler, a just ruler in the past. Allah Ta'ala has appointed him. Some say he was Alexander the Great. But Allah knows best. Allah knows best. We're not going to say that. This is an interpretation, someone's understanding. We will call him Dhul Qarnayn as Allah Ta'ala had called him in the Quran. Again, this story comes in Surah Al-Kahf. He was a pious ruler and he traveled many lands, established justice by the mercy of Allah, Allah's hukm and will. And he went mainly in 3 directions to establish justice. He went to the far east, far west, and he went up north. Up north he came across the people who said that, there's tribes behind us and behind mountains. Behind 2 huge mountains, there are tribes called Ya'juj, Ma'juj, and they're bothering us. Every once in a while they come up and they kill people, they murder, they steal, all these things that they do. We're tired of these people. So can you take care of them? And Allah Ta'ala had given him a gift. Allah Ta'ala had given him a gift. Dhul Qarnayn he had all forms of material strength. Allah Ta'ala gave him the strength, and he could apply his strength and very, very easily do things, right? So what he did, he told the people to help him also. They made a barrier, a wall. And that wall is a huge wall. It's about the size of the mountains, behind the 2 mountains, between the 2 mountains, so they wouldn't come. The height of it, we don't know. Where it is, we don't know. We're not sure about it. And it's made of blocks or sheets of iron, and above that is molten lead. So it's solid, rock hard. More than rock, right? So they can't get through. And they won't be able to scale the wall, nor they cross it. It's just that Allah Ta'ala made it that way. And a time will come, Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Kahf, فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي جَعَلَهُ دَكَّاءَ وَكَانَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي حَقًّا. A time will come, Allah will destroy that wall, and when their time comes, they will emerge, and the rest of everything else will occur. Now, who are they? Comes in the hadith, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said they will have broad faces, small eyes, reddish black hair, and they'll be coming from all places. Meaning they will be so great in number, and their faces will be like hammered shields, meaning very flat. So some ulama have interpreted that it refers to the Mongolians. If you don't notice, the Mongolians kind of look like that. They're short and they're really tough. And whatever is in their path, if you read Mongolian history, whatever is in their path, they annihilate. They completely destroy. Right? So some say it's the Mongolians, but Allah knows best. Allah knows best. And a point that I want to bring to know is that we're going to continue a little bit. These are all weird stories, right? And sometimes they seem like a fantasy. It's like you're in a movie or you're in a game. Brothers, this is a reality. These things will happen. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said what? He said that Imams will stop mentioning them in khutbahs and on mimbars. Do you know why? Because people won't want to hear these things. They're like, come on, man, why are you telling fairy tales in the masjid, in the mimbar? Because of that fear. I'm not blaming Imam Sahib. This is a hadith, right? Hadith says that A'immah will stop mentioning Dajjal and these signs in the mimbar. And the obvious reason what? Fear. fear of people reprimanding them. That's why you're saying, nowadays we read a few stories in Al-Aman and people start objecting. What's this weird story from, and where is that weird story? Weird stories occurred in the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Animals were speaking, trees were speaking, milk was coming out of his fingers. Are these now weird stories? The moon split in half. Miracles occurred by the permission of Allah, through the saints, through the Sahaba, through Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this is something that Allah's Nabi has informed us. These things will happen. And we need to speak about it and let people know. Otherwise they'll be informing us. One alim mentioned, we should, now you guys know, right, all these movies are coming out about different prophets, right? They're all over. We should inform our people about the story, the real story of the prophet before they go watch the movie. Shouldn't go watch the movie, but you guys will, some of you, right? So before you do that, know about your prophet himself first, before you get brainwashed into believing what they showed you is the actual story of Nuh alayhi salam. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Is the actual story of Isa alayhi salam. Is the actual story of Musa alayhi salam. You go to see Prince of Egypt, you go to see 10 Commandments, you go to see all these things, not realizing it's the biblical edition of it, which has also been changed many times. So you get brainwashed into believing and thinking that's the whole story, not realizing half the story may be correct, the other half is wrong. And you start believing it. Every time I say Musa alayhi salam, you think of that actor who's not even Muslim, and you're comparing him to Musa alayhi salam. Every time I say Abu Bakr, Umar, Hamza radiallahu anhu, you think of, I don't want to mention his name in the masjid, right? You think of that actor. So it destroys our aqidah when we go to watch movies. It destroys, one is it's bad, it's wrong. One is your aqidah and belief becomes wrong. Because you start picturing, whenever Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, my uncle Hamza, you start thinking of that guy, that actor, who's not even Muslim. So your aqidah becomes messed up. Anyway, Allah Ta'ala correct us inshallah. We should tell these stories to our children, brothers, sisters, families and friends, before they hear it from the wrong sources and they believe in the wrong facts. As far as Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam once came out to the Sahaba and said, La ilaha illallah, woe to the Arabs from an evil that has approached. Today a hole like this, and he did this, his index and thumb. Today a hole like this has been opened in the barrier of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, that wall. Some say it's the wall of China. There's like 7 great walls, right? But Allah knows best which wall it is. Anyway, this much has opened, and he made a circle with his thumb and index finger, he said, and she, meaning his wife Zainab, he's speaking to her, she said, radiallahu anha, O Messenger of Allah, will be destroyed even though there are rightful people amongst us, righteous people? And he said, yes, when evil prevails, when there's more evil, then these evils will come. Now think about it. The only way to take out this evil is to do good, to command good. And Allah Ta'ala give reward to those brothers who are doing that. Finally, yes. Finally, Allah Ta'ala, Isa alayhi salam, at that time, he'll be commanded by Allah, listen, you're not going to fight these people. Go up in the mountains. Mount Uhud, Muslims will go and they will stay in the mountains. They will make dua to Allah, destroy these people. Ya'juj, Ma'juj. They will come. Min kulli hadamin yansirun. From all places they'll come and just kill people, murder people. So they will make dua, Ya Allah, destroy these people. Allah Ta'ala will create worms in their necks. And this is how He'll destroy them. He'll kill them. In a place they'll come, after killing many people, they'll say, you know what? We control the world now. Now we're going to kill the one in the skies. And they're going to shoot arrows in the skies. And the arrows, Allah will make this happen. Will be sent back down with blood. So they will feel that we killed the angels and we killed God too. Now we're the rulers. Allah will destroy them. And later on, Allah Ta'ala will send birds. Huge, because if their stench and bodies will be everywhere. Allah Ta'ala will send huge birds. Their necks will be like that of camels. To take up, lift these Ya'juj Ma'juj and throw them in the sea. Or throw them wherever they are. This will be the end of the Ya'juj Ma'juj. And then, a few more signs. The sun will rise from the west. There's so much detail, but there's no time. And the appearance of the beast also. A beast will appear. A calm breeze will take away the souls of the believers. And then, no more believers in the world. There will be havoc and destruction. Idolatry will occur even in Makkah and Medina. And the Kaaba will also be destroyed. Finally, a fire will come from Sham, from Greater Syria, and gather all the remaining people that live. Gather all of them on one plane. And things will come back to normal. People will lead their lives. That's when they'll hear a sudden sound. And the sound will get higher and higher and higher. And people will shriek and they'll cover their ears, but it won't help. And that will be the trumpet of Israfil alayhi salam that will destroy everything. Everything, including shaitan, including Israfil alayhi salam, all will perish, all will die, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Qiyamah will begin. Jazakumullah khair. I'm sorry I didn't... Okay, do you want to do it after the month? You want to do it now? Leave it for today. Okay, inshallah. I apologize. This wasn't a small topic, it was a very big topic. Okay, take it. So these are many signs there. Again, like I said, there's a lot of detail to go into, but 1 hour is never enough. If you want to go into the detail, Ashrat al-Sa'a, there are books written, thick books written on the signs of Qiyamah, thick books. Now we're taking a 300, 400, 500 page book and we're trying to compress it in 1 hour. It's not possible. So at least you know the major details of Dajjal, of Yajuj, Majuj, Isa alayhi salam, Imam Mahdi. You know the main details. Inshallah, on our own, I can't give you all the details in one bayan. And that's not the purpose of this bayan. It's only to inform us as Muslims that this is what we have ahead of us. This is what will come, and we need to educate the masses. You guys understand, inshallah? So hopefully this is an incentive for you to go on further and study it yourself. We'll all try to do that, inshallah?
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Any questions? We'll all try to prepare, inshallah? So if we meet Dajjal, we know what to do. We'll all prepare, inshallah? How do we prepare? Suratul Kahf. Suratul Kahf. Suratul Kahf, first 10 ayat, last 10 ayat. Read the whole surah Jumu'ah time. Right? Iman. Names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Iman. Iman. Build your Iman. Build your Iman. Okay, inshallah, we'll all try to do that. Any questions?
40 days that that 1 year, is it in regards to your earth calendar or is it some?
Good question, I don't know. But I would assume that it's the lunar calendar. One is the solar Gregorian calendar, one is the lunar calendar. I think it would refer to the lunar calendar because lunar calendar is more accurate. If you go into the science of the calendars or the cycles, the lunar calendar is more accurate than the solar.
One more question. When Isa alayhi salam will kill Dajjal and the year of prosperity, is it that time that Rasulullah mentioned that will be the time that Islam will enter every single house and only one religion
Islam will prosper that time. But there will be other incidents. Like the Yajuj Majuj will occur after that too. And after the Yajuj Majuj, then it will be the time of prosperity where Isa alayhi salam will live for 40 more years.
So that will be the only time that only one religion will be remaining, right? One religion will remain. Again, when the corruption will prevail again. Yeah.
So that's when people will start disbelieving again. Say again? I don't know. Dajjal is alive today. That's why I said he's a human being, but he has certain traits that a human being does not have. This is one of his traits. In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, one of the Sahaba, his name is Tamim Dari, he met him. And Dajjal told him that there's a messenger that's going to come in Medina. And so he went to meet, he was a Muslim. Then he went to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he said, I met this person. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, this is Dajjal. So he's alive today, but he is in a cave somewhere locked up. Allah Ta'ala has made him, he's locked him up for now. At the time when his arrival, Allah Ta'ala will open those chains. Similar to the Yajuj Majuj as well. Any other questions? What you guys should do, if we can answer questions, if they're detailed, email the youth group. Give your contact, email the youth group. Inshallah, if you keep your email connected, I will also send a summary or a gist of what was said today, inshallah. Because a lot of information. I only gave you, this is summarized out of how many pages? And that also I only gave you half of this.
Let's say you become a part of the Java, is there still Tawfiq for Tawbah? Is there still growth?
Before the sun rises from the west, there is always Tawfiq for Tawbah. When the sun rises from the west, that's it. That's when everyone will say this Islam is true, but it's too late. That's when it will be too late. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.